Hello and welcome, I'm Adam Cherry and this is GB News Originals. Now today we are looking into the use of hotels to house migrants and asylum seekers because a local business owner has taken a personal stance against the practice. I'm talking about John Mappin. John Mappin is the owner of the Camelot Castle Hotel in Cornwall, and he revealed to GB News that he was actually offered a huge wad of cash to turn his hotel into migrant accommodation. He's actually not the only one either. There's also the case of Jez Chettle, who was offered a similar amount of cash to house migrants in his hotel in Norfolk. There are going to be more stories like this because this process has been going on not just under this government, but under the previous one as well. In fact, just today, the Labour government said they are vowing to turn the tide on this and shut migrant hotels down, but it doesn't look like that is happening soon enough. So let's take a look at this clip. This is what John Mappin had to say to GB News earlier.
So we're joined now by John Mappin. Now, John is the owner of Camelot Castle Hotel down in Tintagel in Cornwall. And John, you refused a request from the Home Office to house migrants. What did they offer you and why did you turn it down?
Well, it was a considerable amount of money, Beverly. It was probably double what we would normally make on a good year, because they offered full occupancy on a rolling contract for a year.
So how does that work? Somebody literally just picks up the phone to you, or do they send you a letter?
They sent us a letter first.
Right.
And to be honest with you, I thought it was a joke. And
well, because of the amount of money they were offering?
Well, I just couldn't believe that the government wanted to put, illegal migrants up in four-poster beds.
Yeah.
At Camelot Castle. I mean, it was absolutely remarkable.
And I will confess, I have stayed in John's castle, in his hotel. It is beautiful. It is luxurious.
Here we go. Of it. Here we are.
That's the location.
Yeah, I've had coffee in there.
It's literally on the cliff edge, looking over the sea. It is so idyllic, John. And so what happened? So how pushy were they?
Well, funnily enough, after I said no the first time, they came back a second time. So I wouldn't say they were pushy, but certainly they had I in the slightest showed any interest, they certainly, I'd have had the hotel filled.
Us blokes hate talking about a little thinning up top, and many of us settle with that balding look, but that wasn't for me, and that's why I went to Elite Hair, the world's leading hair loss clinic, and now I've had over 4,000 new hairs added to this barnet, and very soon I'm going to be rocking some brand new flowing locks, and you can too. So how does it work? Step 1, I sent the team a set of photos of my head. Step 2, I then spoke to one of the Elite Hair staff who looked through my photo submissions and worked out a treatment plan for me. Step 3, Elite Hair then organised accommodation and the treatment. I was at their state-of-the-art treatment centre in Istanbul, and their incredibly kind staff took me through the process, and before I knew it, I was in surgery. Elite Hair and their leading medical experts have specialised in pain-free treatments using the sleep deep method, and they really mean that. I felt incredibly relaxed the whole time, and I haven't felt any pain since. Check out Elite Hair using the link in the description. When you do, Elite Hair will provide you with a free personalised hair analysis. Then you'll join over 100,000 happy patients. Hit that link and start your hair growth journey like I did today.
What would have been the reaction locally? I ask this particularly because you're not a Cornish man, and Cornwall's very proud of its Cornish heritage and Cornish roots.
It would have destroyed the village because one of the things they said is to lay off all the staff, and all but two, because they do meals on wheels. You clean the rooms once a week, and they had all sorts of other suggestions.
And you're probably a big employer in the village.
Well, a major employer in the village, and locally. And of course, those jobs in a village like Tintagel, they wouldn't be replaced.
No.
So, but also, they would have stacked the place up with about 300 people. And, you then have those people wandering around the village. I don't know whether they intended to contain them or whether they would be allowed out and about. I know in other areas, certainly hotels in Newquay, have had some serious problems because there were a few hotels that did take the migrants there.
I certainly know of a hotel in Hove, and they're everywhere. They don't keep them in at all.
No, well, they're free to come and go once they're there. And just looking at your area, John, having stayed there, there's the lovely little pasty shops and there's a couple of little pubs and the fish and chip shop. It is your archetypal Cornwall village. It's beautiful. And presumably people who stay at your hotel then spend their money in the village.
Well, of course they do. They do spend their money there, and it would have destroyed the local economy. You know, it's hard to say how many hundreds of thousands of pounds our guests spend in the village, but certainly a fair amount. But it's also the cultural degradation that goes along with this. And, you know, obviously we've seen this story about this gentleman making, you know, billions of dollars. You know, and we have a saying in the country, if you put two rabbits in a hutch, you know what they're going to do. So it's predictable that businessmen would jump on this opportunity.
If you're listening on the radio, we've got pictures of him there. He was standing by his flashy car.
Well,
was it even a dilemma for you to say yes or no?
No, it really wasn't, because
not even for a second.
Not even for a second, because I understand the cultural degradation that goes along with this. And I think what's most interesting about this story is not this gentleman that's made himself $1 billion. As I say, that's predictable.
Yeah.
What is interesting was what Elon Musk has discovered in America through Doge is that USAID, or USAID, has actually been funding British institutions and British media companies. For instance, the BBC has had funding from USA. And these people are pushing the narrative to place migrants into hotels. For instance, in New York, there was a scandal the other day that after the president chopped funding, these New York hotels still receive funding from immigrants. And what I'm worried about, and what I think we need to do over here, in fact, I'm very pleased to tell you, I'm involved in helping with the launch of a UK Doge.
So that's the Department of Government Efficiency, if people don't know what Doge is. It's what Elon Musk was talking about in the Oval Office yesterday.
Who's going to run it?
Well, we're going to look for the same type of young people. In fact, we are actively recruiting young people who are AI geniuses, software geniuses. Essentially, what we're looking for is the UK equivalent of big balls.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, he's not everyone's cup of tea, is he, Musk? But what he's trying to do to save waste and cut down on bloated bureaucracy, there's a lot of it here.
Well, there is. And I don't think the British people have any idea as to how our institutions have been infiltrated by foreign organisations such as AID, you know, and this is a very, very serious situation. And the amount of wastage and the philosophy that is being injected into the UK culture is destroying our country.
One of the big charities in America that works with refugees and migrants is the International Rescue Society. It gets $450 million a year from American government agencies. And who's it run by? David Lammy, who was, of course, Foreign Secretary here, Labour, still seeing potential as a Labour leader, on a salary of nearly £1 million a year. Unbelievable. It's a big industry, John.
Well, don't you think the British people deserve to know the truth about where all this money is going? I mean, Rupert Lowe, who's a good friend of mine...
The Reform MP.
Yes.
He's on it.
Well, he's on it. He is absolutely on it, as is Nigel. And the truth of the matter is, there's one hotel, one of these migrant hotels, is spending £800 a day on taxis taking illegal migrants back and forth to the dentist, which, of course, we're also
paying for the dentist.
Well, we are too.
Well, we've got stories today about children, the amount of dental decay amongst children, record highs, because parents can't afford to send their kids to the dentist.
Well,
scandalous.
What we discussed yesterday is we don't have to wait for a general election to start a UK Doge. We can be gathering up information from whistleblowers, and in fact, many people are now coming forward because, to be honest with you, the British people are fed up with it. We
really are. I mean, I'm just looking at some of the numbers around Graham King, this guy that's the first immigration billionaire, as he's being called. In 2021, he made £25 million thanks to a Home Office contract to house asylum seekers in southern England. But record numbers of people crossing the Channel mean that Clear Springs Ready Homes, his company, was paid £1.3 billion in 1 year for accommodating and transporting arrivals.
And that's public money.
That's public money.
But
also, we're getting ripped off, aren't we, though? But what
we are being ripped off, but you can't blame Graham King. I mean,
No.
When I publicly turned down the offer from the government...
He'll be paying lots of tax on his money.
No, when I won't say who, but I had several friends of mine call me up and said, "Oh, John, I've got a hotel. Could you give me the contact?" You know, but this is what I say: if you put rabbits in a hutch, you know what they're going to do. You can't blame businessmen for taking opportunity. What you have to look at is what are the qualities that cause them. How are you creating a situation?
We blame the system that allows this to flourish, and we blame the fact they're still pouring across the channel every week. Weren't they going to smash the gangs, John? Remember that?
Yeah, they were going to.
And how many migrants have you got in Cornwall? Because they're not crossing the channel down there, are they? Or are they now?
I think in certain cases they are.
Are they?
I think they're coming in because, of course, in Cornwall we've got all these little beaches. How do you watch all of these the whole time?
Already pressure on hotel spaces for tourists can't get. Already there's pressure because it's so popular. But with migrants taking over so many of the hotels, it could kill Cornwall's tourism trade.
Well, it is killing it. And Newquay now is dangerous.
Well, there you have it. Do you think it's acceptable that the Home Office is asking hotel owners to house migrants? Is it an appropriate policy? Has the government moved quickly enough? Is it too slow? What do you think? Please let us know, of course, by reaching out in the comments, giving us your thoughts. And as always, thank you for watching. This has been Adam Cherry. Don't forget to subscribe to GB News on YouTube for more.